Welcome, everyone. This is Channing Memorial Church, and today is Sunday, May 26, 2024. Our regular minister is the Reverend Bill Zelazny, but he's away today, and our guest presenter is Jeff Thomas, who will be known to many of you already. Jeff is a member of Channing as well and lives in Tiverton with his wife, Kristen, who is right there. Their daughter, Olivia, is currently pursuing a master's degree at Boston University. In the past, Jeff has given a guest video presentation on cosmic spirituality and a slideshow on the climate crisis. He's happy to be here again today to give you a talk entitled Finding Zen. We also have a guest reader today, Michael O'Hara, who has a reading titled 24 Brand New Days. We'll have to see what that's about. He also lives in Tiverton with his wife, Brenda Lee. Mike is semi-retired and currently assists his wife in the family-owned business, which is O'Hara Senior Care Services, which provides services to seniors in their homes. Our guest pianist is Caleb Hilliard, who will be sitting in for Jan Navarro, who is also away. And we have a guest vocalist, Gail Bruschetta.
Open your hearts to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in.
Good morning. Today's reading is a passage entitled 24 Brand New Hours, written by Thich Nhat Hanh. Every morning when we wake up, we have 24 brand new hours to live. What a precious gift. We have the capacity to live in a way that these 24 hours will bring peace, joy, and happiness to ourselves and others. Peace is present right here and now, in ourselves and in everything we do and see. The question is whether or not we are in touch with it. We don't have to travel far away to enjoy the blue sky. We don't have to leave our city or even our neighborhood to enjoy the eyes of a beautiful child. Even the air we breathe can be a source of joy. We can smile, breathe, walk, and eat our meals in a way that allows us to be in touch with the abundance of happiness that is available. We are very good at preparing to live, but not very good at living. We know how to sacrifice 10 years for a diploma, and we are willing to work very hard to get a job, a car, a house, and so on. But we have difficulty remembering that we are alive at the present moment, the only moment there is for us to be alive. Every breath we take, every step we make can be filled with peace, joy, and serenity. We need only to be awake, alive in the present moment.
Good morning. So I want to share a story with you. Many years ago, I was going through a rather rough patch in life, and I found myself at a bookstore, just browsing the bookshelf, and I pulled a book off the shelf and opened it. And the page said something that struck me as kind of funny. It said, "Here is right now. Start thinking about it, and you'll miss it." And I thought, yeah, it kind of has a Ferris Bueller type of philosophy to it. You know, like life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around every once in a while, you could miss it. Intrigued, I began to read more. And I found the book talked about many things. It talked about mindfulness, happiness, clarity. It was talking about Zen. And I began to read more of not just that book, but other books. And I started to practice a little Zen in my own life. And I found it made a difference. I found a sense of simplicity and balance, and it also offered me guidance on how to deal with strong emotions. But I would say most of all, it gave me a sense of spiritual awareness. So then, what is Zen? It is simply everyday life lived through awareness with an emphasis on meditation. And anyone can practice it. It's independent of creed or religion. Zen is a way to help you find who you really are. As one Zen monk puts it, you can find a source of happiness that nobody can give you and that nobody can take away from you. It's independent of external conditions. It allows us to tap a source of happiness and find another level of meaning and value to life that's not around buying and selling, success and failure, and this world of opposites. Because we live in a world of opposites. The world of me and you, the world of success and failure, the world of life and death. And this world is true, but it's a perspective. It's not the whole picture. And so it's easy for us to live in that reality because we're surrounded by it in the way we speak and the way we do things. But what the Zen approach demonstrates is that there's another kind of way of knowing, another kind of way of being, that isn't based on this world of opposites. It's another mode, if you will, that's non-dualistic, and it comes from meditation. And it's here where we can find a sense of ease and peace, where we lose nothing and we gain nothing, where we can know that we're home, and we always were, and we always will be. Now I realize, to some, this may sound, a little hippy-dippy, like Break Out the Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds record. That one. Thank you, Caleb. But Zen meditation can actually be a very pragmatic experience. It's a way to focus the mind on being in the present moment. All you do is sit quietly and you stop thinking for a while and you just focus on your breathing. Our everyday minds are, for the most part, filled with an undisciplined flow of thoughts and emotions, especially if we're angry or we have anxiety. Instinct tells us that if we just keep thinking about things, we'll find a solution to our problems. But the Zen approach is to slow down for a moment, to take a step back and follow the rise and fall of our breath and just sort of empty out our thoughts. And that's not always easy. It's hard to stop thinking. So the technique offered while meditating is that if a thought enters your mind, to silently acknowledge it and then bring yourself back to your breath awareness. It's like letting thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky, where you just remain focused on the present moment. It takes a little practice, and in times, though, it will bring a better sense of clarity and tranquility. You begin to realize just how much attention you were putting into something and how you may be falling back on old ways of doing things or old thinking. So through this type of practice of slowing down, you become less scattered and more open to different possibilities and approaches to life. And in this way, if you can deal with each moment as it arises, life becomes more free. Now, meditation is probably more commonplace in the Far East than here in the West, unless, say, you go to a yoga studio or you or a friend already practice it. But I would say that there are alternative ways where you can get that same sense of just being in the present moment. For myself, I enjoy walking nature trails. There's a lovely path near the shoreline where I live, where I like to stop and pause and just focus on my breath, and I can get there. I can get that sense of clarity and be in the present moment. And afterwards, I feel refreshed. I feel like I hit a reset button. At home, we have a deck, and I like to go outside on the deck, and I'll do various stretches, and I'll just sort of focus on my breath. And it does help me. I can empty out my thoughts. Although I'm sure when I first moved into the neighborhood to my neighbors, I was that new weirdo guy outside. But now they pay me no mind. In fact, some of them even wave as they drive by. At least I think it's a wave. I have friends who like to run, and they tell me that while running, they can just get a sense of clarity and be in the present moment. So there are various ways where we can practice reaching a state of consciousness where we can just empty out our thoughts and just breathe. But Zen is not only meditation, it's an approach to life itself, and in very practical everyday terms. When reading about Zen, you'll find that its method is to demonstrate reality rather than try to explain it in words. Zen writer David Scott wrote about this. He said that if you were to ask a Zen master, "What is the meaning to life?" To make it personal to you, he's liable to answer back with another question. So, for example, when asked by a monk, "What is the meaning to Zen?" the Zen master replied, "Have you had your breakfast?" "Yes," said the monk. "Then wash your bowl." He's not being a smart aleck, rather he's simply expressing the very essence of Zen practice, to not overthink it, that the essence of life is simply being alive. And there's a spirituality in that. You're alive, you're breathing, it's a beautiful day, you can go out and admire nature. And it's that clear simplicity that liberates us from the complexities that tangle our mind. One pragmatic outcome of this process of letting go of jumbled thoughts is that for many of us, it leads to a much more appreciative acceptance of simple everyday life and the recognition of its extraordinary quality, that everyday activities can be pleasantly vested with a sense of wonder. And this was beautifully expressed in the words by a Chinese Zen layman from the Tang Dynasty in the 7th century. He said, "How miraculous! How wonderful! I draw water, I carry wood." You know, he's just out and he's like, "I'm alive, I'm doing things. I'm appreciating the moment." And it's that spirit, that essence, that is fulfilling in of itself. So with that possible mindset open to us, why are so many people unhappy? Paramahamsa Yogananda was a monk from India who visited the United States, and after spending some time here, he noticed something, and he wrote the following. He said, "There are so many things here in America that I wanted for my own impoverished country. In time, however, I found that people here are not so happy on average as the peasants in India, many of whom cannot afford more than one meal a day. Despite the material property here, people haven't the same happiness. Americans are satiated with a plethora of sense pleasures, yet happiness eludes them for the simple reason that they seek it everywhere except in themselves." So he touches on something that Zen teachings reveal, that much of unhappiness comes from craving or wanting. The problem is we always seem to be wanting something. We want something we haven't got, or we want something that we have to go away. And we think that by chasing whatever it is that we desire, it will bring us satisfaction. Yet even when we obtain what we want, or we experience pleasant feelings, many of us are never really happy. We now either want something else, or we fear that the pleasant feelings that we have will go away. And so one is always restless, dissatisfied, chasing something, and often unhappy. And it's a suffering, so to speak. And what Zen communicates is that people are liberated from suffering not when they experience this or that fleeting pleasure, but rather when they understand the impermanent nature of all their feelings and stop craving them. Because when that pursuit stops, you become more relaxed, clear, satisfied. Writer Yuval Noah Harari wrote on this matter, saying, "It is like a man standing for decades on the seashore, embracing certain good waves, while simultaneously pushing back bad waves to prevent them from getting near him. Day in and day out, the man stands on the beach, driving himself crazy with this fruitless exercise. Eventually, he sits down on the sand and just allows the waves to come and go as they please." How peaceful. So he points out that the understanding of this cycle of craving and how we always seem to chase it, that if we just learn to pause and instead focus on finding a sense of peace in the present moment, will be very helpful. And learning to pause is not only helpful in that regard, but it's also helpful in how we deal with strong emotions. Zen teachings counsel patience when we feel angry or agitated. Suppose someone says something mean to you, something hurtful. You get angry. You get kind of hooked. You want to say something mean back. You want to retaliate. That feeling can be so strong, and so you do. And too often in the not, it makes the situation worse. Tensions escalate, and now that person is even angrier and strikes back at you, and so on and so forth. And in the end, nobody's happy. And it all just leads to more suffering. Whereas the Zen approach is to understand this cycle of anger and not fall into that trap by learning to pause. Pema Chodron, a Buddhist nun, speaks to this by saying it's having the courage to wait. And I think that's a very good word for it. It takes courage when you're pent up like that to pause. Because when we're agitated, all we want to do is make the hurt go away. And so there's this restless quality that pulls us in the direction of wanting to get some resolution by using our words or actions. But Shodron counsels that it's right then where we can change the way we deal with discomfort by practicing patience. When we slow down and pause instead of acting out, we connect with that soft spot within us. We're not making the pain go away or the agitation go away. We're just learning to sit with it for a while, get to know it even, and slowly just let it relax. So that later, when we do respond to a situation, we're more clear, we're more level-headed, and the aggression doesn't escalate. This same approach can be applied when we are fearful on things in our lives. We can learn to pause and become more calm in how we deal with it. And so, in that way, we can change the way we think about things and have a more gentle, honest relationship with ourselves. As a species, our brains have the capacity to change. Research reveals that when a thought or how we mentally respond to something comes about, it travels a neural pathway in our brains over and over again, and eventually becomes a habit, the habit on how we'll respond in the future. Very often, this pathway will lead to anger, fear, craving. But with practice, we can create new neural pathways that lead instead to understanding, forgiveness, love. Because really at the heart of Zen is a deep compassion and respect for all beings. And it complements rather well to our Unitarian Universalist principles of respecting the inherent worth and dignity of every person and the interdependent web of existence of which we all are a part. Zen reminds us on the importance of being in the here and now and the extraordinary wonder of just being alive. And so as I close my comments today, I wanted to share a lovely quote by Fred Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He wrote, "I feel so strongly that deep and simple is far more essential than shallow and complex." That's Zen. And I think anyone who's ever watched Mr. Rogers' program knows that he had a rather kind and thoughtful approach. Even the closing words of his song at the end of each show relayed this with, "It's such a good feeling to know you're alive." That's Zen. And so, to end my talk today, I thought with the help of Caleb on the piano and Gloria on the Gail on the mic, that you, the congregation, will sing it with me. The words are on the back of your order of service. And I thought we'd give this a try. So, Caleb, take us away. It's such a good feeling to know you're alive. It's such a happy feeling you're growing inside. And when you wake up ready to say, I think I'll make a snappy new day. It's such a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that Reverend Bill will be back when the week is new. And he'll have more ideas for you. And you'll have things you'll want to talk about. I will too. You always make each Sunday at Channing a very special day just by being you. I hope in your daily lives you find a sense of tranquility, clarity, and a little Zen. Thank you very much. Namaste. For our closing words, Let us go forth now with a joyful mind and compassion for others. May we grow in grace, peace, and not neglect the silence of our being. The service is ended. Have a lovely day.
We come from the water, living in the water.